Hey everybody, Clay Archer, CEO DBC Technology, and today I've got an awesome one. Today I am going to cover the new AI port. With something that's new, I actually opened the product and I'm actually discovering the product as I'm shooting it. And I got about halfway through shooting this new AI port and I said, I've got to stop. This is a really cool product and it deserves a deeper dive. So I slowed down a little bit and took the time to experiment with it and put it through its paces on a variety of different scenarios. And spoiler alert, for most people that are using Unifi Protect, I think this is a must-have item. So without any further rumblings, and for me for a second time, let's take a deep dive into the AI port. So it's typical really nice Unifi packaging, and if you've seen any of the other Unifi port products like the display port or the view port, it's a very similar product. It's a nice form factor. It's got a little mounting bracket and some cable ties if you want to attach it to something. It also has a PoE power in and a PoE power out. The PoE in will have one more plus than the PoE out. So if you have PoE plus plus going to it, you'll get PoE plus out. It always just reduces that by one. But you are able to power this and power the camera beyond it if you choose to do it that way. I did not do it that way. You also can just plug this directly into the network and assign it to the camera so it doesn't have to be throughput there. It also has an optional mounting tray, and obviously this can be paired with third-party ONVIF cameras, which is awesome. It also has a SD card slot on it for edge recording, which doesn't work at the time of release, but they said there's going to be an update to make that actually work for edge recording, which is awesome. So those are the stats as they are on store.ui.com at the time of release. But Unifi was nice enough to send over a press release where they added a few more items, and I'll read through those now. So the first point was, how many cameras will the AI port be compatible with? And so each AI port currently supports one ONVIF or Unifi Protect G3, G4, G5 camera to ensure optimal AI processing performance. Future Protect updates will expand the capacity to support multiple cameras. Awesome, that's really killer. Does a camera have to be directly connected to the AI port? The answer is no. You can do it either way. You can either connect it directly or you can just attach it to the network and assign it in the software. How much power can the AI port supply to a directly connected camera? When connected via PoE Plus, it's up to 12.95 watts. When connected via PoE Plus, it's up to 25.5 watts. And also, obviously, you could use a separate PoE injector if you wanted to, if you had more power needs. What types of detections and recognitions are supported by the AI port? We'll explore that a little bit later here. What's the maximum resolution and FPS the AI port can support? The AI port supports resolutions up to 4K and 30 frames per second. For higher performance cameras, reduce the resolution and FPS before connecting to the AI port. So that's awesome. I'm gonna test that. I've got a couple of cameras that are beyond that, so we'll see what we can get there. Does the AI port support multi-sensor cameras or cameras with abnormal aspect ratios? Multi-sensor cameras with very wide sensor ratios are not compatible, and I will test that just for fun. Does the AI port support the G4 and G5 PTZ cameras? Yes, and that's awesome, but we'll explore that a little bit later here. Does AI port support AI series cameras? This is a question I got a lot, like, hey, if I throw one of these on an AI 360, will it work? The answer is no. The AI port is not compatible with the Protect AI series of cameras. Most people wouldn't do that, but there are a couple AI cameras, namely the AI 360, that doesn't have detections, and no, you can't add it to the AI 360 and get detections. Does the AI port support PTZ controls on third-party cameras? The answer is yes, and that's awesome. The AI port supports PTZ controls on ONVIF third-party cameras. Awesome. I think a lot of people are going to be super excited about that. I think the higher end PTZ kind of cameras are where this is going to be a no-brainer. You're just going to want to go out and grab one of these because it is a game changer for those cameras. Last but not least, and I think this is the real kicker, will AI port support more than one camera in the future? The answer is awesome, and it is yes. In the future Protect updates, AI port will support the following number of cameras. Note here, third-party cameras cannot be mixed with Protect cameras. So on one AI port, you could do 2 ONVIF 2K cameras, or on one AI port, you could do up to 3 ONVIF HD cameras, or on one AI port, and this is the real kicker for me, I'm super excited for this, you can do up to 5 Protect cameras, which will be amazing. I kind of have 3 different categories that I think that most of you are going to fit into. Either A, you're coming in with a bunch of third-party cameras and you want to see how they look here. Or B, you are a long-term Protect user and you have some older cameras that you would like to bring up to current spec. And the third group for me is the people that are trying to get AI detections where they need them. They want the highest possible quality at the lowest possible price. I'm going to start off by just going to the cameras that I have installed right now, and I've got a bunch of different cameras installed. I have every camera that Unifi Unifi makes and some that they don't make anymore, and I have tested it on almost all of them. So if you have any questions or comments about any particular one, put them down below, but I can't show you every camera here or this would be a 2-hour video. I'm gonna hit the highlights, I'm gonna hit some of the average ones, and I will hit some of the ones that actually have been end of lives, and we'll kind of go through there and take a look at each one of them. Before we get going on that, I'll show you the adoption process real quick. I did that on the first video. So you can see right off the bat, it detected it, and I am just going to be able to click add here. New device detected, AI port detected on the ONVIF. So let's go ahead and add that, click adopt. And just like that, it's adopted and it's asking to pair. All right, now that we have it adopted in there, I'm gonna go ahead and assign it. Actually, it's been assigned on the G5 turret, but I'm gonna go ahead and assign it to the G4 PTZ. And all you have to do that is you can click on the AI port itself, and in here you've got manage, you got status and all your normal information there, and on settings you can rename it and you can locate it, you can restart it and remove it. But if you go back to the main screen and you click on manage, you get to choose which camera you put it on. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it on the G4 PTZ, and I'm gonna click save. And it takes a second. Also notice that I took it off of the G5 turret. It is gonna restart the G5 turret when I assign it to the new camera. So here it is on the G4 PTZ. Before you go to the camera itself, I highly recommend you come into recording settings. It now has added recording AI events. I recommend you click on edit video detection types and make sure you check everything. By default, they may not be checked. So if you install it and you're not getting detections, it's probably because you haven't come in here and changed that. The G4 PTZ does not have audio detection, but if you also want enhanced audio detections, you would click on that device there. I'll show when we change it to the next device here in a minute. But anyways, you can see here I've got animal face, license plate, person, and vehicle detection on right now. So if I go back over to the camera, and we're on the camera, you can see it is now detecting people. The AI port enables face and license plate recognition for G4 and G5 PTZs while maintaining their existing pan, tilt, zoom functions. However, it does not enhance PTZ control or tracking. So at this point, it doesn't do anything to enhance the tracking, but if it is following somebody, it will see their face and recognize their face. So that's awesome. I've got this in auto tracking mode. So if I reset this to home, I'm gonna reset this to home and get rid of that tracking. You can see it's doing its thing there, and as things go by, and it can do, well, it's gonna automatically go track back to her again, but you could see as it went by my car there, it noticed that license plate detection. And probably the better way to do it than show you it happening in real time is to go to recognitions here. I'm gonna go to license plate detection, and I'm gonna go to G4 PTZ. I've had it probably on for an hour here, a couple hours there. I left it on overnight, but you can see it is grabbing license plate detection. So if I click on that detection, you can see here that is in fact the license plate there. And so there you go, good to go. Grab that, no problem whatsoever. It actually moved by there pretty quickly. You can see here, if I go through, I'll go through here and I'll take my time frame down. It only had the license plate in view for 10, maybe 15 frames there and nabbed it. It's really impressive. I think for anybody that's got an $1,800 camera out there, you can add this feature for $199, plus the fact that if you divide it by 5 cameras, potentially, you're 40 bucks for adding that feature to your camera. I mean, it's awesome. So that's the first one. I think if you have a G5 PTZ of any type, you'd be silly not to use that immediately. You can see here, it's got a bunch of detections of license plates that it's seen already. You do have to go up here, by the way, if you're trying it the first time, and put these overlays if you want the overlays on the screen. It's still getting detection if you don't have the overlays, but the overlays make it nice to see it. The other thing about it too, which is pretty incredible, if I just wanted to manually nab, while I'm here, I'll show you this. If I just wanted to manually nab this license plate here, so I'll center up on that. I'm using the mouse control. You could use your keyboard, and that might be a little bit quicker for you. Well, it already knows that license plate, does it? But you can see it just immediately, boom, 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 yeah, it gets that license plate. So if you manually wanted to go out there and tag everybody, you could. I could very, very easily just take the G5 PTZ, I'm gonna turn off auto tracking and go something along these lines. Now, it may not be the best use of your G5 PTZ, but if I just left it like this, looking at the exit here, everybody has to drive through here and present their license plate. I could just super easily do that. I will also show you here, you can do this at a super long distance. So, G4 PTZ is pretty incredible. And with the AI port, I will tell you it's the same as every camera. If you can see it with your eyes, it usually grabs it. If you can't see it with your eyes, it's not going to grab it. But you can see here, I've said it a million times on this camera, the optics on this thing are just spectacular, and you add AI to these optics, it's a game changer. So that is use case number 1 for existing that I think is pretty incredible. Okay, so that camera is obvious. So I did a couple of other detections earlier, so I'm just gonna go to my recognitions here, and I'm gonna grab Mallory, who actually walked into the room earlier, and this is a G3 dome. Let me just talk real quick about a G3 dome. This G3 dome is a discontinued camera, and many of you may know that I have complained about Unifi in the past with their Protect cameras, orphaning them rather early. This is a discontinued camera that now has support for AI features and is nailing facial recognition years and years and years after it was put out in the field. There are probably millions of them out there in the wild for basically what amounts to $40 a camera. When they go to 5 Protect cameras on this, you're able to add facial recognition. Again, like I said on the G4 PTZ, it can only detect what it sees. So you can see that the quality of this camera is not as nice as the newer cameras. So obviously your recognition rate is going to be lower, but if you have the camera in a spot like this where, it's pretty obvious people are going to present themselves to it, it's going to work very well. This actually had no problem finding Mallory, stuck with her, no problem whatsoever, keeps recognizing her face 92%, boom, boom, boom. That's as good as it gets. And honestly, that's as good as it's doing on, your modern new camera. So big thumbs up for that. That kind of covers your high end, you spend a lot on the camera, or your low end Protect camera that's been there for a long time that you're trying to get a little bit more life out of. I'm gonna go to the Turret Ultra. Obviously, I've raved about this G5 Turret Ultra, and a million people have bought them. If you have a G5 Turret Ultra and you want to bring it into the latest, greatest, you're really in a wonderful spot. Just again, make sure that you go in here and you make sure you edit those, and you edit the audio types. So here's a perfect example. All these audio types have not been checked off, so I will add all those. They just come as part of the package, so if you want them, turn them on. And now when you go over into device itself. Oops, I needed to save that. Apply changes. When you go back over into the device itself, I'm gonna go over here because I just like to see them all together. And you can see, boom, 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 it's doing its thing. And if any of these people present their face to the camera, you will see it detect their faces. It's pretty amazing. And what's awesome about that is now I almost have the same camera as this AI turret. I've got the price of a Turret Ultra plus $40 compared to a $399 camera. Now, it doesn't have the better microphone, it doesn't have the night vision stuff, but it is an option that's almost in the same quality zone, and it's just killing it. I could go in there and look at some detection. So if I go into recognition here and I go to G5 Turret Ultra, it'll show you where it's now seeing facial recognition, which is really killer. You can see Chad's walking up to it, just normal, talking there to Jared, and boom, 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 grabs him, no problem. Now, it worked that way on every camera, but those are kind of the 3 extremes there. Super expensive camera, doesn't have AI, adds it to it. Low end, end of life camera, works on it. And then also just kind of superstar, middle of the range camera, meat and potatoes, now makes it an AI just beast. So awesome stuff there. So that leads me into my next group, and that group is going to be how would I design a camera system if I was designing one from today? I would still buy all of my cameras from the Protect ecosystem. But what this gives me the ability to do now is mix and match. You've seen, if you follow my videos, I really like the Turret Ultra, and I tell people I would mix that Ultra turret in with an AI turret here or an AI Pro there and get the detections where you want them, but not have to spend the money everywhere you don't need them. To me, this is the perfect addition. So I can do an Ultra Dome, an Ultra Turret, put them everywhere, then get one of these and then put a few of those cameras into AI. I don't need every one of them to be into AI. Or, if I need those advanced features of the AI Pro or the AI Turret, meaning the LED lights or the array microphone, those kind of nice features that come with those, I can pepper a couple of those in, but now with my regular meat and potatoes great cameras, I can have detections where I need them. And for the person that needs 20 cameras with detections everywhere, you can get 3 or 4 of these and pepper them in, and also have some AI cameras for the other features that you want in those particular areas. If I was designing a camera system today, and let's just assume that the AI port already supported up to 5 cameras, I certainly would have a lot of the ultra turrets and ultra domes out there and put these AI ports on those. I think it's a really good combination. Then I would pepper in the higher end cameras where I needed maybe some zoom, or I needed PTZ, or maybe I needed a vision enhancer or an upgraded array mic. That's kind of where I would go on that second spot. All right, so that brings to the third category, and probably the one that matters the least to me because I don't do a lot of third-party cameras inside Unifi Protect. I did a lot of third-party cameras years ago, but I have pretty much orphaned all those and moved over to Unifi Protect. But it is really a killer feature to be able to use ONVIF capable cameras inside Unifi Protect. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go through a couple of them. I've tried maybe a half dozen different cameras, and again, I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but here I've got a general VD2T81AS. Obviously, most of these Chinese ones have these weird off-brand names, and even if they're a Hikvision or a Daiwa or whatever, they sometimes look like they're generic, whatever. So anyways, I'm gonna go in just real quickly and show you again. I've go ahead and adopted it there, and I've gone into my detections and just made sure I've everything added here. If you don't do that, sometimes you'll go into the camera and go, I'm not getting detections, why is it? You'll also know, another tell is when you go into the camera itself, do you have the option to do the overlays? So I got face, person, vehicle, animal, and confidence level detect here. Marty's going to go ahead and walk in there and do a detection real quick, but I will say this is a really big game changer for the ONVIF stuff, because basically what you were doing before this is you just had long-term recording. You didn't have any detections of any type in there. So basically, if you needed to go back and find something, you had to scroll through hours and hours of footage, which basically defeats the purpose of having a surveillance system in 2024. So instead of having to go through all the scrolling and detections, now you get all basic detections. So you can see Marty walking in, sees him as a person, 98.5%. So you can see identifies, and then Sean walked in there too, and it's identifying them as people. It's doing the face detection just like it did on all the other cameras. Obviously, this is a huge game changer here, because I think without the AI port, they were almost useless. So the ability to go through recordings and be able to see stuff just like you would on any other system, and on top of it, you're getting those advanced AI detections. So you get to see the people and the detections and everything. So I tested out several different ones, all worked well. The ones that didn't work well, and I'll show you really quickly, the ones that didn't work well are the ones that they have said aren't going to work well. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. It's a great camera. This is a double wide camera, 191DX. And the problem with it though is that when you go ahead and pair it, ONVIF DX, I'm gonna click to pair, and I could have just gone to the AI port, but that's the ONVIF. Now this one quite obviously exceeded the resolution rating on the tech sheet. So when I go to it, you'll see it doesn't ever, it's just gonna ... here. It never resolves this image. It's really cool. It would be awesome to be able to get this kind of double wide view, but obviously there's limits on what resolution this thing can do its computations on, and I'm not expecting it to cover everything, and in fact they've said it would not cover that. But what it will cover, which is awesome, is ONVIF PTZ cameras that are inside of that resolution range with PTZ control, which I think is amazing. So take that for what it's worth. You may be able to cover 2 or 3 of these cameras depending on the resolution with one of these ports. So if you have a situation where you're trying to get into the Unifi system, but you've got 4 or 5 cameras out there, you might be able to do 1 or 2 of these and keep your older existing cameras and be able to have AI detections with them and make them pretty functional inside of Protect. I've been a critic of Unifi's closed system for a long time, and I feel like this is just a really good faith effort on their part. Obviously, because Unifi does their computations on the camera and not the NVR, you have to have some sort of device to do the computation, but I think this is a fairly priced device, and obviously they've got a roadmap for it to be even more powerful than it is today. And one of the things that Unifi has been doing that makes them so popular is they're giving away this software for free, and they're just making us buy the hardware at a reasonable price. And they must be investing millions and millions of dollars into development. This gets better and better and better with time. The even bigger takeaway for me from all of this is that it really solidifies to me Unifi's place as a premier vendor in this market. In short, I think this is going to be a really hot commodity and hard for them to keep in stock. Of course, we leave these cameras up all the time, so if you want us to test anything, or if you have any questions at all about this, please leave them in the comments down below. I answer all of them. Otherwise, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video.